Provost, members and students of the College of the Humanities and Legal Studies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished speakers as well. I am grateful to the faculty for this opportunity to share my perspectives on a subject matter I'm very passionate about, preparing graduates for work and the role of universities. I think I've quite been heard on that matter. And if you recall, not too long ago, there was quite some well-published submissions I made at the University of Ghana. Following that, I was actually approached by two undergraduate students who at church, and they walked to me and said they fully agreed with what I said. And if I should quote them, beyond agreeing, they shared something that was even much deeper for me. They said, "Mr. Hosi, we have taken note of happenings with our seniors, and our biggest fear and worry going through university is that when we graduate, we will still be unemployed. Unemployment has become a default position for most of us, and employment an exception." My heart sank. Those words never left me. Anytime I remember the words of these two young men, I begin to wonder how as a country we have missed the plot so much so that the future leaders feel such a strong sense of hopelessness. I remember very much in my vim and swag as a student going to the university, where I experienced the fullest of my freedoms and an opportunity and assurance to end my economic dependence on my parents, be it partial or whole. I saw my seniors graduate into employment opportunities in low-level management or management trainee programs. Others got absorbed into the banking sector and various sectors of the economy, especially the services sector. Over time, I also observed that the quality of jobs for most graduates was dwindling. And in my time, more graduates were compelled to work at low-level officers like tellers and call center operators. I do not believe the situation has improved over the years. It must be realized that for most students, being in the university is significantly linked to their employability and their economic aspirations. Students on the average do not attend university simply because of the love of some academic activity. Am I right? Thank you. They identify their future and consider university education a means of a necessary phase of their lives, being economically and socially viable members of society. Universities, therefore, are in many ways transitional points for many of us. They facilitate our transition from youth to adulthood, from learning to earning, from joblessness to gainful employment, and they assist in unlocking our imagination about how to create a better world. Universities, therefore, matter. They matter a great deal in shaping opportunities for nurturing big dreams and achieving the aspirations of our many youth today. Unfortunately, the face of work is changing. Learning to earning, joblessness to gainful employment, big questions and uncertainty about the future. The emergence of the fourth industrial revolution that is expected to be dominated by artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, robotics, nanotechnology, quantum computing, augmented reality, and many disruptive technologies are bound to make the world move much faster and feel much smaller. The technologies that are in development today will in the very near future force, in fact it already has, and it's throwing most of the jobs as we know them today into a pit of obsolescence. There will be little need for human hands in most workplaces. For example, we are going to be driving in driverless or sitting or riding in driverless cars, and lecturers as seated here today can use holograms to actually deliver their lessons even if they are as far as the South Pole or North Pole, choose one. Those of us hoping to resort to Uber as a temporary job after school should start preparing to kiss that one too goodbye. For those of you who are dreaming of working in banks, I got news for you. Brick and mortar banks are almost getting out of fashion. And today, as we speak, They are banks without a single branch. All these point to one fact, that the world is changing and changing fast. But you know, with every change comes opportunities and challenges. Newer opportunities will be unearthed with access to more markets, provided the technology that we experience is leveraged to improve consumer solutions and experiences. Ghanaian professionals like lawyers, radiographers, psychologists, whatever it is, will be able to attend to clients more efficiently anywhere in the world without traveling. This entire phenomenon bears a dichotomy, which on the one hand presents an opportunity for growth by various economies with easier influence and access to different markets. On the other hand, these advanced technologies could expose serious uncompetitive fault lines in the world's most feeble economies and cause them to be overwhelmed by the developed and or more prepared economies. The fourth industrial revolution will widen the gap between the makers and the takers in the global economy. In simple terms, it will threaten the viability of some countries or economies while bringing growth and opportunity to others. So for me, I can't help but wonder how prepared we are for that immediate future, and whether our Ghanaian economy is positioned to survive and thrive in that time. As Ghanaians, will we be makers or we will be takers? For a country to optimize its economic potential, it is a necessary condition that it engages its full labor force in its production function. As a country desirous of being a first world country someday, employment for Ghanaian youth cannot and must not be considered a privilege or a social necessity. It is absolutely not. It is an economic imperative. Your employment is an economic imperative for the survival of this country. It must be realized that putting the youth to productive work sustainably is a necessary part of our country's ability to survive, compete, and thrive in the future. The skills of our youth must therefore be positioned to make them viable in today's world and competent in the present tomorrow's world. It is therefore refreshing for me that UCC is paying attention and thinking about its people and their future in the workplace. It is not surprising, obviously, that UCC is gaining a reputation for operating the best distance learning program in Ghana, and I think you deserve a round of applause. Having said that, I wish to ask, there shall be no boom. As a scholarly society for present and futuristic thinking, has the UCC embarked on a study of the implications of the fourth industrial revolution on the human resource landscape of this country? Has it assessed the required modifications to its present administration or teaching? If yes, honestly, that would be groundbreaking. If no, there goes my very first recommendation for the university's role in preparing graduates for work. Universities must constantly review evolving trends and assess futuristic implications on industry and reposition education to be competent in meeting the requirements of the present future. The story goes that an employer was accused by one of his managers. According to this manager, Kojo, the employer had overlooked him for promotion in favor of Aku. I hope I have some Akus in the house. Nice. Kojo alleged his boss was partial and used tribal prejudice in determining who got promoted. The employer empathized with Kojo and explained to him that that was absolutely not the case. There was no basis for that allegation of bias. So he called Aku to join him and Kojo in a meeting. At the meeting, he asked Kojo to check out the price of an HP laptop from the Accra Mall. I'm sure we know that one, even though we're in Cape Coast. And asked Aku to go do the same at the West Hills Mall. Both of them returned at about the same time. Kojo reported that there was no HP laptop at the Accra Mall with the specifications indicated by the employer. For her part, Aku reported that the exact specifications were also not present or available at the West Hills Mall, but she had checked online and realized that she could get the same HP computer from a desired another location, ANC Mall, and also another shop somewhere on the Osu of Oxford Street. She presented to the employer a comparative analysis, price-wise, warranty, after-sales service policies, every single thing, and also indicated to him that there are other brands apart from HP that also have the same specifications, and also walked him through the same thing, plus shop locations. When she was done, the room was quiet. The employer asked Aku to excuse them. She did. He turned to Kojo and asked, "Need I say anything further?" Ladies and gentlemen, we need to ask what the difference between Kojo and Aku is. I'll leave that to you. But in all honesty, the world today needs Akus. The world for tomorrow needs Akus. The world can't survive with the likes of Kojo in this story. Kojo, I'm sorry. I ran a survey prior to this speech on a close group of senior business executives asking a number of questions. One, how ready is the average public university graduate for work? This was just a small size sample. Business executives who were known to me, about 20. 70% of the respondents considered graduates to be poorly or very poorly ready for work. I asked again, how would you rate the graduate's attitude to work? 85% of the respondents considered graduates' attitude to be average or poor. I asked again, in your assessment of fresh graduates from public universities, how well do their basic technical skills match your expectations? 50% of the respondents considered the basic skills of graduates inadequate or very inadequate, while the other 50% rated them average. No respondent rated anyone adequate or very adequate. Skills: emotional intelligence, good communication skills, computer proficiency, critical thinking, teamwork are things they were looking out for. Attitudes, they were looking out for passion, punctuality, curiosity or eagerness or initiative, eagerness to learn, attention to detail, creativity. For values, they were looking for integrity, can-do, service, hard work, and commitment. I reviewed this, and for me, somewhat affirms the hypothesis that academia is disconnected from the broader employer community and its needs. What assessment have our public universities been making for each department about the suitability and superiority of the products that emanate from their departments to employers? Is there a feedback and evaluation system? Who is doing tracer studies? Who is assessing the employment and average income of the graduates of the various departments? Elsewhere, you can find that. In Ghana, I'm sorry, no. Who is doing the thinking and strategic positioning to effectively compete in student impact and superiority in industry? Who is constantly engaging with employers to ascertain what skills the students need to be useful and productive to industry today and tomorrow? Who? Graduates must be prepared before work. And one may ask why. The dean commissioning me to make these submissions tasked me to speak on what? Preparing graduates for work, the role of universities. So prepare. To prepare is an act of equipping oneself ahead of a task, which in this subject discussion is work. We all get trained while working, but being prepared will always precede work. Life through the university for most students is among the most defining phases of their lives before work. This is perfectly illustrated in the Bible's parable of the virgins in Matthew chapter 25, which reads, with your permission. We had a nun set us up, so I think it's fine. At the time, At that time, the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were wise. The foolish ones took their lamps but did not take any oil with them. The wise ones, however, took oil in jars along with lamps. The bridegroom was long in coming, and they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight, the cry rang out, "Here is the bridegroom, come out to meet him." Then all the virgins woke up and trimmed their lamps quickly. The foolish ones said to the wise ones, "Give us some of your oil, our lamps are going out." "No," the wise ones replied, "there may not be enough for both us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy for yourselves." While they were away, the bridegroom arrived. The virgins who were ready went in with him in the wedding banquet, and all the doors were shut. As the kingdom of heaven is in the above parable, so is the kingdom of work. The competitive nature of today's world has no time for the unprepared. Organizations realize this and will opt to minimize their training costs and time without compromising quality where possible. One would therefore be likened to the foolish virgins if one thinks that preparation is the burden of industry. As was the case in the parable, the door to work will be shut to the unprepared. Industry understands that graduates will have to be trained for their specific work roles, but requires preparedness on the part of graduates in respect of values, attitudes, and the basic skills that make graduates conveniently trainable and viable throughout their time in a firm and across various tasks and roles. The World Economic Forum, in its job report for 2016, shares perspectives on what skills are required for the present future, 2020 and beyond. Complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, coordinating with others, emotional intelligence, judgment and decision making, service orientation, negotiation, cognitive flexibility. I find this list of 10 very interesting because I consider all these skills to be intricately connected and not mutually exclusive in any form. How do you solve complex problems without critical thinking and creativity? How do you effectively manage people without coordinating with others, without emotional intelligence and a service orientation? How do you have any of this done? How do you negotiate without judgment, decision making, and cognitive flexibility? 2 things stand very clear for me. First, the thriving workforce of the future must be completely skilled and prepared to be able to compete effectively. Secondly, the permeating feature of all skills is creativity, and there's no better house than the humanities for creativity. Martin Normeyer, in a lecture at the University of Toronto, classified work into 4 groups: creative, skilled, rote, robotic. The last 3, forget, computers will eat them up. Creativity, you want to do jobs that are unique, imaginative, non-routine, and autonomous. But key to this is the need for us to build the right attitudes. Every professional can be creative in the work he or she does. You don't need to be in the very typical creative arts to be creative. As a professional, wherever you find yourself, whether you're an accountant, whether you're a lecturer, whether you are whatever, you have to be innovative and creative about the way you go around delivering value to your clients. Every professional can be creative in the work he or she does. When you work your craft, you are creating an art. Key to the viability of the skills enumerated by WEF are the basic skills required of every graduate today. These include communication skills, oral and written, as well as presentation and effective IT skills, such as the use of the Microsoft Office suite. It is very, very disappointing and distressing. Hiring a graduate who struggles to effectively draft a simple letter like an invitation to a meeting or running an average of numbers or navigating PowerPoint or simply organizing data in an Excel spreadsheet. It is unacceptable that a modern graduate will struggle with typesetting in Microsoft Word. While skills are important, it is our attitudes and values that bring them to life on any job. These, for me, include curiosity, excellence, responsibility, accountability, integrity, candor, confidence, hard work, respect for time, attention to detail, meritocracy, and my favorites, good citizenship, and a recognition that we must focus on effect and not effort. In my office, you dare not tell me you sent the email that the GSS guard can also send. You better let me know you got the feedback needed for our decision making. The world rewards effect, not effort. Today, more than ever before, the world has little room for those who just show effort. Few remember the team that placed third or fourth at the 1998 World Cup. Anybody here remembers? You see? But you know who won, right? Who won? Fantastic. The third and fourth people did their best. But if their best didn't win them the championship or get them to the finals, which is the effects that they may have wanted, as we sit here today, we have no space for them in our memory. This underpins the need for us to build a passion for excellence and a passion to win as a country. You often find many graduates, or I do as well as others, today who are not curious or inquisitive enough. Graduates with low hunger for knowing how to do things, and graduates who have no interest whatsoever in going the extra mile. Ironically, these are the graduates who possess a strong sense of entitlement, walking around with erroneous notion that they do not need to soil or muddy their hands because they have university degrees and are so entitled to everything they desire at the workplace. They are eager to tell you that they did this narrow path instead of telling you that they got the result the company wanted. These bad attitudes, respectfully, are easily reinforced in the university experiences students encounter. Lecturers, and I have many lecturer friends, often publish more for promotion than impacting society. Students study for certificates rather than knowledge and skills. I will finish. The University Alumni Office is operated as a matter of course, not an institution or force in the development of the university. How many of our alumni are connected to the university society? Imagine the thousands of people who have passed here. The university issues certificates to graduates and cares less how they fare on the job market. It is no wonder that political governance also pretends to serve while citizens struggle. We are often in a hurry to share GDP figures rather than human development indices and unemployment figures. We delight in talking about falling inflation rather than how policies are reducing poverty and inequality. As a people, we need a whole new orientation, and that must be driven by the culture in our universities, a culture that rewards results and effects and not just effort. With that in mind, I turn to sharing my thoughts on how to prepare students for the workplace in this 21st century. To students, I beseech you, come to grips with the fact that you owe it to God and country, and most importantly to your own selves, to excel. Mediocrity is not an option going forward. Strive to excel in all that you do. The pervasive culture of mediocrity in Ghana will do you no good. The requirements for your success and survival are way higher than I or any other person who is not a student here, I'm telling you, has ever experienced. Today, I'm not likely to get a job if I were competing. Ghana needs your excellence to survive tomorrow's world. So please, stop just learning to pass your exams. Learn to know more and learn how to learn and know. The world will change so fast. You must be quick to adapt. Learn new things, unlearn things, and relearn. Secondly, learn to speed read and read critically. The poor reading culture in Ghana, which you may have been trapped in, will lead you to failure and economic hardship. I may have survived that, you will not. You must quickly acquire knowledge and make better meaning of information than any robot. You have the advantage of wisdom and humanity to outdo any robot. 3, be very flexible in your thoughts and views, and that is something that comes naturally with the humanities. In other words, be open-minded. The rote approach and regimented nature of our education system will render you obsolete if you don't break free and realize that in a fast-changing world, ideas are not static and that methods are bound to change. You therefore have no choice than to change and adapt to the changing times. Be creative in your thinking and be open to new ways and creative ideas. 4, seek to effect and stop showing effort. Joe in prayer will take you nowhere. Take seriously the skills that have been enumerated and the values and attitudes as well. They will shape you if you are committed to them. 5, learn to code. It is the English and maths of the future. 6, be prepared to hire yourselves. The African Development Bank estimates that Africa's labor force will be nearly 40% larger by 2030. Most of it will be the youth. If current trends continue, only half of new labor force entrants will find employment, and most of the jobs will be in the informal sector. This implies that close to 100 million young people could be without jobs. This is an awakening reminder that the era of somebody hiring you is narrowing. But technology and the recommended skills and values will provide you an opening. Be creative. Stop being a taker and be a maker. Give something to this world. Let the world remember you for something you made. If you aim to make and give something back to this world, you'll be focused on delivering it, and you have little time to waste on things that don't matter. You will spend far less time on social media. Whenever you are tempted to cyber slack on social media, remember that there are kids in Singapore, India, China, Germany, and other countries are preparing to make you their taker. Furthermore, in the abundance of time, always know there is no time. To my universities, I have 4 broad recommendations. I don't have any part 2 conversation. 1, be in tune with the evolving trends. Universities must constantly be reviewing those trends, assessing futuristic implications on industry, and ensure education is positioned to be competent to meet the requirements of the present future. It's good our Deputy Minister is here. So, Mr. Minister, a little recommendation for you. As a matter of urgency, Mr. Minister, government must commission the universities to undertake a thorough study on the implications of the 4th Industrial Revolution on Ghana's human resource landscape and ascertain necessary changes on the educational curriculum and system to ensure graduates are equipped with the skills they need to thrive in that present future. That study has to be widely published. Next one. Stay relevant and in tune with industry. Dear universities, as a matter of policy, you must commission annual TRISA studies to assess the impact of graduates and procure feedback from employers and managers as input for modifying or reaffirming educational strategy. This should include competitive studies to evaluate the superiority of the graduates in the respective universities. I believe this must be a requirement for revalidating the accreditation of any university. When you go to Europe, they do it. Under the relevance with industry, the universities need to restructure the business and executive committees and their academic boards to include illustrious alumni and industry executives. They must promote the engagement of experienced, innovative, and proven corporate and public executives as part of the faculties. They will ensure greater connection with industry and help sustain the relevance of education. It will facilitate student and faculty ability to translate theory into practice. Building a vibrant alumni will be helpful in connecting effectively with industry. It will provide a strong platform for you, students, your internships, and the development of programs to integrate you well with industry. For those of us from the faculties who have schooled outside, you are aware that to date, your alumni is in constant touch with you, telling you what's happening to it in the university, and also monitoring your progress. Respectfully, it is totally unacceptable that we observe these learnings and also these best practices elsewhere, but when we come back to our towns, we seem to deliver less. I have no contact with my alumni after 3 degrees in my university. Our business schools are able to develop and implement strategies on how to re-energize the alumni for the development of the universities. It is key that as a school, you optimize every opportunity to translate theory into practice. And to that, I give UCC credit for producing its own water. I saw it today. I was so impressed. I think UCC deserves a round of applause. My third broad one, we are almost there. Review the method of teaching. The skills as enumerated by WEF and the values I have shared go into this future are unlikely to be delivered by the pro-rose learning method of teaching in our universities. It is unacceptable for university students to be examined using multiple choice questions if you really want to stimulate creativity. It is unacceptable for lecturers to be reading notes in class. It is unacceptable for lecturers to separate dissenting views on theories or opinions, marking down students who dare to think creatively and not reproduce the notes of lecturers. It is also unacceptable for lecturers to modify their teaching in submission to the poor reading culture of students. Employers expect students who can make stellar presentations and address more case studies. They should be learned in our universities. Lecturers should take communication and literacy skills very seriously and teach them effectively. Industry and public policy practitioners will be useful in implementing the lecturer's impact to final year students especially. Get the people in the field, help them with their last minute studies on communication, presentation skills, and the likes. Let them have it before they leave the university. Lecturers must also make it a point to give students copies of their marked scripts so that they will learn their grammatical errors and analytical errors that they make. Otherwise, what we'll continue to do is to breed students who grow and make virtue out of their own errors. The university is the only place you enter with an error, graduate with the error, and believe that the error is correct. It must stop. What exactly are we protecting when we withhold the script from the students? Why are no rubrics shared with students? The marking scheme, they should have it. With every assignment, they should understand what is expected of them. But we never have them. Why are there no examiners reports in most cases? I've never seen any after 7 years in the university and 3 degrees. Teaching must change to deliver the right skills and attitudes. Unfortunately, our universities have become cultivators of the culture of conservatism rather than communities of dynamism and creativity. As a people, we need our universities to be spaces for futuristic thinking. It must be realized that the days of monopoly over higher education in Ghana are long gone for public universities. Competition exists locally and internationally, and will become even stiffer when Ghanaian students can access a Harvard education through hologram-administered lectures and systems. We will be here, and you will see somebody sitting in America and will be lecturing here without a screen, feeling you like he's just around you. In a recent conversation with a senior lecturer on this particular subject, he indicated to me that students don't like to read. I said I agree. But I asked, if reading is key, why are you passing them if they don't show they read? Score what you wish to see, and the university students will deliver for you. If you allow shortcuts, they will take them. How many children will take working over playing if there are no motivations or consequences? We've all been kids before. Passing students who don't meet the necessary standards or lowering the standards to pass students hurts the country. They will not appreciate meritocracy, hard work, etc. We must remember that he who carries your certificate and can't live the certificate does your university a gross disservice. The world is changing fast, and no one pays a salary or hires anyone for just a degree, but rather the values they receive from the holder of that certificate. It is no wonder Google, Apple, IBM, Costco, etc. do not require degrees for many of their top jobs anymore. My lecturer friend also lamented that the large class numbers don't help either. I do agree, but as a university, excellence must not be compromised. It is an environment of scholars. You can't compromise on excellence. We must innovate on ways to effectively educate the high numbers and or reject the overburdening effect of partisan political pressures that thrust the unsustainable numbers on us. We are a developing country, and hence it is expected that the capacity of the university will be stretched, but it must not be allowed to fracture the quality. The political push for high numbers may be well intended, but it must be accompanied with the minimum required resources. As it is said, one must put their money where their mouth is. Overstretching the resources beyond reasonable limits will only compromise quality, and in the long run, it will end up shortchanging the country. As a university, in my conclusion, universities must become examples of excellence. The type of environment we wish to see in Ghana. In simpler words, the university must practice what they teach. The work-ready attitudes and values shared above must be reflected in the culture of the university. We cannot have lecturers being late and expect students to build a culture of timeliness and punctuality. We cannot have lecturers we cannot act on favoritism and expect students to be imbibed with the culture of meritocracy. We cannot suppress debates in class and expect students to be confident and develop candor and open-mindedness. We cannot continue to turn a blind eye to teaching assistants writing theses on behalf of students and expect not to nurture a culture of impunity, dishonesty, and cheating. Parents generally wish the best for their wards, but over time, I believe it has become obvious that the affluent in society, business, even lecturers, the political elite, who can afford, do not prioritize public universities in Ghana when selecting universities for their children anymore. Local universities pride themselves as having produced presidents, but I do not recall any president under the Fourth Republic who educated any of their children in the Ghanaian universities. I stand to be corrected. Alvin Toffler once said this: the illiterates of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Things cannot be the same as we work to prepare our graduates to face an uncertain future for the survival of our country. So today, we have a choice as to who we wish to be: the illiterates or the literates of the 21st century. Thank you.